Hey everyone, this is your OG, and this is another Godforge video. Here we have another future focus, looking at the top 5 possible heroes for the Vyraj faction. This is the Slavic, Eastern European, and Russian mythologies. These are not heroes we're going to show you that we've seen in the game Godforge at all, or have been leaked in any way. These are just cool figures that we've found in our research of the mythology, and we think they'd be interesting to see in Godforge in the future. So without further ado, let's optimize. All right, so we are going to start our top 5 possible Vyraj heroes with our givens, and starting off our givens is Velez. Velez is the god of chaos and the underworld, and he battles Peyrun every day, and Peyrun is a god we've already seen in the game. So, and then after his battle, he's banished to the underworld. So, pretty sure it's a given that he will be in the game at some point because of his importance in the mythology. But this is our first given, and that is Velez. All right, so moving forward, we actually have our first choice here. So we're calling this the Sons of Svarog. So these two we show you are both Sons of Svarog. So you can tell us which one you think should be our number one choice. Is it Dazbog, as we see here? Dazbog is the god of the sun, gifting, abundance. He rides a golden chariot. He's associated with lions and justice. His name comes from Daz, which means to give, and Bog, which means god or fortune or, wealth. This aligns very well with Indo-Iranian influences, where Baga denotes both a deity and wealth. It means the same thing. He rode a chariot pulled by either 4 white horses, or in some instances they say he had 12 white horses across the sky. And this controlled the seasons and was thought to be what ensured cosmic justice and the well-being of all. As we mentioned, he is a son of Svarog, the god of celestial fire and forge, who we've already seen 2D art for in the game of Godforge. And he's the grandson of Rod, who is a primordial creator. His siblings include Peyrun, as we mentioned, the thunder god, Makash, the earth goddess, and we've seen both of these already in Godforge, and Svar-Hitz, which is the fire god. Okay, so he's married to the goddess of spring, and he fathered Koyata, which is the god of peace, the Zorya sisters, which were the dawn and dusk goddesses, and Radagast, which was the sunlight deity. He's often depicted with golden hair, blue eyes, and golden armor with a reflective shield that could reflect sunlight. Sacred animals he was associated with include his white wolf, his golden white horses, and lions. As we mentioned, he typically held a cornucopia representing abundance. He had a spear, and a magic ring that was gifted to him by the Lord of the Underworld. He was once captured by Morena, the goddess of winter, who we also may see later on this list, and required the help of other gods to be rescued. So this is the first one in our choice here, Sons of Svarog. We have Dazbog. Next, we will see the other choice, and that is Strebog. All right, so Strebog is the god of winds and storms, and he's linked to the dispersal of wealth through natural forces. His name literally means wealth spreader, which works as he disperses prosperity via the wind. He is a key figure in Slavic mythos, depicted as an elderly sage with wings, a flowing gray beard, and storm cloud robes, and he's typically wielding a bow as arrows ride on the wind, or a whip. The stratum, a mythic bird which represents the wind essence, is what people consider to be his shapeshifted form. Whirlwinds, tornadoes, and feathers, all things associated with him. And again, he is a son of Svarog as well. He was born from Svarog's hammer striking the Alatir stone, and he emerged as a fiery whirlwind. His siblings include Peyrun, Dazbog, and Makash, and he's known to consort with Melazina, the goddess of fresh water, who tempers his storms. He fathered basically the north, south, east, west winds. Those are his children, and so the north winds bring cold, the west winds bring gentle, warm breezes, and the south wind brings hot desert winds. He serves as a powerful and somewhat invisible force. Could be a great legendary or even possibly an epic hero coming in Godforge. Which of these brothers would you choose in our top 5 possible heroes for the Vyraj faction? Let us know in the comments below between Dazbog and Streebog. All right, so now we have our first rare with flair. This is Mykula Sayanovich. He is a peasant hero, and he displayed supernatural endurance and personified agrarian resilience. He could plow fields faster than warriors could fight due to his sacred bond with the earth. He symbolizes the humility and the strength of working-class folks, key to them triumphing over aristocratic might. He's depicted as with a handsome appearance and wearing a dark velvet tunic, felt hat, and green leather boots, which was more refined than most farmers would dress, so he symbolized prosperity. He's also associated with a plow forged of silver, gold, and maple woods that's so heavy no one else can move it or lift it. And he's associated with Bay Mare, his golden-maned horse that is swifter than any warrior's steed. In the mythos, he's pitted against Prince Volga, who is a shape-shifting warrior sorcerer that revealed themes of class struggle. Mykula's supernatural strength, plus his name actually means village, cannot show us more clearly that true strength comes from groups of people pulling together as one. Examples of this strength in his lore include single-handedly uprooting tree stumps while he was plowing, lifting a seed bag that no one else on Earth could lift, including several gods, and plowing faster than warriors could fight. He represents the sacredness of labor and putting in a hard day's work, reminding us that power can grow from the soil. So this is our rare with flair, Mykula. All right, so now we have our first boss possibility, and we are going to see the famous Rani proverb, "No blade strikes unseen by the four-eyed one." So this is Svetovit from the Rani tribe, a four-headed war god with a prophetic white horse that predicts battle outcomes. So some cool boss ideas with this. Maybe you have to knock him from the horse first, or the horse races around the outer edge of the battle space, and each time goes around gives a faint preview of the coming attack, like a ghostly projection of what might come, so you can prepare your cleanses or your buffs to disrupt the prophecy. If you have the ability maybe to disrupt it, then you can move deeper into the fight and face additional mechanics. Such as each head corresponds to a cardinal direction and a seasonal domain, so each head could have a different seasonal theme. Like summer could have blaze dot damage, winter could have freezes, fall and autumn could have like decreased healing and decreased speed, spring could have like extra healing effects for the boss, or maybe they have entangling roots that trap or lock out abilities. He also has a sword, and maybe it like glows crimson during his attack phase, and then he has a drinking horn that maybe siphons off HP to heal him during his non-attack phase. Or like maybe if he hits like 25% left on his HP, all four heads converge, and we see like a merging of these different seasonal powers into AoE style attacks as a last-ditch effort to defeat your team before succumbing. The setting for the battle could be a crumbling temple atop Cape Arcona, which is the historical Rani stronghold. And in the lore, defeating him destabilizes the veil between the realms, unleashing these otherworldly enemies. So that is our first boss possibility coming from the Rani tribe, okay? The next boss possibility will be Svyatogor. Okay, so this is from the Russian mythology, Russian mythos. Svyatogor is a mountain-sized giant symbolizing primordial earth forces, and in fact, he dies by collapsing under his own weight. His tale explores limitless power, earthly constraints, and the passing of heroic epics. His name means sacred mountain, and he embodies the untamed forces of nature. He was described as taller than forests, with footsteps that cause mountains to crumble. But his strength was paradoxically useless against earthly bounds. For example, when he tries to lift Mykula's seed bag, his feet sink into the earth. Despite his limitless strength, he cannot overcome the pull of the earth. His footsteps and his fist slams could, as a boss, could destabilize the environment, causing falling rocks to do damage to your team. Maybe he can pull up like a mini mountain and it separates some of your members of your team, so like you can't buff them until that barrier comes down, or you can't heal them or apply anything. He could slowly succumb to gravity or sleep, as his lore has him sort of falling backward. He was tripped and falls back into a coffin and was sealed. So maybe that's how you beat him, is when he's defeated, he trips, falls back, and is sealed into a coffin. In the lore, he passes along the breath of Ilya, his strength to Ilya. So perhaps that might be a reward or something you could get, is the breath of Ilya. And perhaps the greater his attack, maybe the more he sinks into the earth, or the greater his HP, the more he sinks into the earth, and the slower his speed becomes. So, like, it can, that fluctuation in his stats can change throughout the fight. And maybe petrify. Maybe that's the disable of choice for him. Then, like I said, beating him could give you the breath of Ilya, as the lore has him dying while sealed in a coffin, and he gives his strength to Ilya, representing the passing from the primordial giants to the human-centric heroes. So this is our 2 boss possibilities that we are showing you for this faction. All right, so number 3, we have another choice here. We have Jarilo, who is the god of spring, and associated with spring's sun, life-giving warmth. It's distinct. He's different from Dazbog, who's more like midsummer intensity and like the face of the sun. Jarilo's light awakened frozen earth, so maybe he counters freeze. He was stolen as an infant by Veles, and Jarilo was raised in the underworld of Nav. At spring's arrival, he escaped, crossing a river to Yab, the mortal realm, and symbolizing winter's end. He unknowingly wed his sister Morena, the goddess of winter and death, and upon recognizing her, he fled. Morena was enraged by this and stabbed him with a sickle. His death brought about autumn, and his decay ensured next year's harvest, which would be reborn from Morena's tears, sort of like the melting of snow. He is depicted as a youthful, handsome god with golden hair and spring's vitality. He's seen barefoot, dressed in white robes with a crown of flowers. He also carried a spear, a sword, and a golden shield. And he held the golden keys to unlock Vyraj, I think is how it's pronounced, which is the paradise of eternal spring, which released life into the world. And as you see here, he also rode a sacred white stallion. So Jarilo is the first of our choices, and then we have Morena. Morena is the goddess of nightmares, winter, and death. She betrays and murders Jarilo, as we just heard. She's known as a night demon who causes sleep paralysis and plague-inducing terror, so maybe fear would be a part of her kit. She symbolized famine, disease, and the testing of human resilience. But here's the interesting piece about Morena. To those who were unafraid, she appeared as a pale, dark-haired woman in white robes, as you see on the left, symbolizing winter's deceptive serenity. But to those in fear, she manifested as a clawed, fanged hag with wolf-like features, her face withered like rotten wood, and she had goat legs. She's also been associated with the forest witch Baba Yaga, who devoured lost children. So she was depicted as a youthful maiden with skin white as snow and eyes like frozen lakes, or a very terrifying feature depending on how you interact with her. So that could make for a really cool kit. She also sometimes is seen wearing a bridal gown. So which do you think? Jarilo, the god of spring, or Morena, the goddess of winter, nightmares, and death? Some pretty cool choices. Hopefully you feel we've lined up for you here. Number 4 on our list, Alosha Popovich, one of the 3 legendary heroic warriors in Russian lore, Ilya being the other one, and Dobrynya Nikich, which we will possibly see as well. So this one, Alosha, is based on possibly Olberg Raberovich, a 10th century nobleman. He and sort of built into a lore. He has a dragon adversary named Tugarin, who had paper wings. So Alosha prayed for rain, and it grounded him, and then he was able to beat him and decapitate him. Unlike the physically dominant Ilya that we may see later in this list, Alosha relied on wit, deception, strategy, and trickery. He often taunted his enemies, so maybe he puts taunts, and then exploited their weaknesses. Victory through intellect was really what you would think of with this one. He was known as cunning, somewhat boastful, tricked foes with guile, exposed their flaws. He was also a little bit greedy and considered somewhat of a womanizer and a disruptor. So perhaps he's a disruptor archetype. We'll see. But this actually made him a more relatable hero to the people because he wasn't perfect. So he was depicted as a trickster, youthful and sly, with a bow, and was considered an agile strategist, okay? And he represents underdog ingenuity. So that is our number 4, Alyosha. Then we are going to get to, what do we have next here? We have our honorable mentions. Yeah, we have our honorable mentions. Okay, so here is a very interesting one that we found, Rusakla, from the Russian mythology. They are drowned maidens that lure men into drown, sort of like the sirens from Olympus and from Odysseus's journey. These were women that would seduce and bring men into the water and then drown them. Sometimes they would dance in moonlight groves to get the men's attention, and that's later in the mythology, they transformed into like water nymphs, but this would be a cool, for honorable mention, we thought would be Rusakla. Then the next honorable mention, and we talked about him before, he's one of the 3 legendary heroic warriors of Russia, Dobrynya Nikitich, I think is how it's said. I could be saying it wrong, but also one of those 3 heroes like we heard of with Alyosha and Ilya. Dobrynya was more of like a Russian noble. He was artistic. He was gentle. He rescued captives, and he kind of symbolized perfect chivalry, like diplomatic skill. So of the 3, he didn't make it into our list. He only made it as an honorable mention, but he certainly could have a very interesting support role type kit if we were to see him in the game. Next up, for honorable mentions, is Zorya, the triple dawn goddess who guards the sun or Dazbog's chariot and opens heaven's gate each morning to let him out so that he can start the day. So that is Zorya. Thought we'd be adding that one in as a honorable mention. And then we have one last honorable mention, and that is the Firebird. I believe Zarapitsa is the Russian name for it, but it's a celestial bird whose feathers grant power. It rewards humility and punishes hubris. And it triggers, the pursuit of the Firebird triggers quests and symbolizes elusive fortune. So basically, like, you get one of these feathers, or you're trying to get one of these feathers to get power, and it takes you on this whole wild goose chase, if you will. The gift of one of these feathers becomes a chain of tribulations, of uncontrolled fate, they said. It does parallel the phoenix with some of its design and look, but it is distinctly Slavic. And one of the quotes I thought that really summed it up, it said, "It is not the flame that burns us, but our reaching for it." So that is the Firebird, made our last honorable mention for this one. Okay, so now we are at our number 5. This is Ilya Muromets, one of the 3 legendary heroic warriors in Russian lore. He was born a peasant, and he was paralyzed for 33 years before being healed by either a pilgrim or a beggar, depending on who you hear it from. And then he becomes supernaturally strong. He defeats nomads, dragons. He later becomes a monk. He single-handedly defeated the massive Saracen army that was besieging Chernigov, and he saved the city. He does have a little bit of a hothead, a temper. That's sort of his weakness. But he has a good track record. He defeated the monstrous Slovy Razbornik, a bandit whose whistle could kill travelers. He shot him in the eye with an arrow. He killed the giant Idolishk, which means great idol, and a 12-headed dragon who was draining the life from a princess. Sounds like Bowser, but he often uses trickery and disguises. The quote from the Slavic proverb about Ilya is, "Where Ilya walks, the earth trembles. Where he rides, forests bow." So that is Ilya Muromets, and I think he could be a really cool addition to the Vyraj faction. All right, folks, so that's all for us today. Thanks for sticking with me all the way to the end. If you like some of these heroes that we laid out here, be sure to drop a comment below. hit that like and finish the perfect combo with subscribing as well if you haven't already. Hope you liked it. Be sure to take care of yourself, and remember, play smarter.